to install the Cleanroom monitor, these are the things that should have come in your package. Actually, there are two of these passive ports. I just have one here. Installation is very simple. This is the main unit. It gets installed just on the wall. There are two 25-foot or 8-meter cords here, which have two male ends. This gets plugged into your pressure sensor on one end. This gets plugged into the monitor on the other. Now, this sensor, these two leads here, these two clear plastic tubes go in two different sections. So if this is a wall, and we want to measure the difference in pressure between this side of the wall and that side of the wall, we can mount this on the top and put this in one room, put this in another room. Now, to make a nice clean installation, we have a passive port which looks like this, and one end of this tube goes on here and the other end goes in here. So if this is mounted up in the ceiling or on the joist, this can actually be put in the ceiling or in the wall if you want to run this down inside the wall and put this to sense the pressure on one side of the wall, and the same thing for the other side of the wall. Now, the temp RH sensor looks like this. It says temp RH on it on the label. One end of the 8-meter cable gets plugged in here, and one end of the 8-meter cable gets plugged into the monitor. Now this has to go in the room that you want to measure the temperature and humidity of. So a lot of people will mount this right up on top of the ceiling in a corner or high up on a wall. Again, it's going to have this sensor plugged into it. These two sensors are going to go back to this main monitoring unit. Stop for a second, Fred. Now, your unit also came with a USB cable with a mini connection on one side and an A-type connection on the other. This is for power. It gets plugged, the small one gets plugged into the monitor itself, and the larger one goes into the power cube. So it gets plugged in here to the power cube, which then gets plugged into the wall. As soon as it plugs in, the TV2 will wake up. As soon as you plug the sensors in to one of these 4 sockets over here, it's going to see it and ask you, let's go ahead and plug this into our pressure sensor. Now remember, the pressure sensor is up on top of the joist between the walls. This is in one room, the other side's in the other area. You're going to get a little menu that comes up and asks you to set it up. The only settings you need to pay attention to are here, where it asks how often you want to log data. It defaults to once every 10 minutes, and that's a pretty good value for pressure. And then also the calibration sensor menu. Once this is in position, you want to go to the calibration sensor, plus enter, and then you're going to say auto calibrate, and you're going to push the auto calibrate button. This will automatically zero out the sensor. That will automatically zero out the sensor so that it will read 0 pressure between the two rooms. When you do this, make sure the pressure between the two rooms is set for that it's the same, that you haven't already pressurized one of those rooms. Once you've zeroed out the sensor, then you can create pressure in the room you want to be positive pressure or negative pressure, and then that will give you a reading of the differential pressure. And that's really all there is to it. If you have additional questions, email them to me and I'll try to address them.